Welcome back to this episode of the Drunk Bible Study, the bonus edition, where we're talking about Kings, 2 Kings, 15 through 17. Yeah, that was the one. Cool. That's the one. So another fairly convoluted episode, I would say. It was challenging at times to remember everyone's name, and we really just went back and forth between kings, between Judah, between Israel. And we had one mention of a king who decided to dismantle ye old temple and make something new, something fun, something fresh.
It's like when you take IKEA furniture and disassemble it and build it into something new. Or like a Lego set.
Is that something people do?
Yes, it
IKEA
is.
Hacking?
There's whole websites dedicated to this, yeah.
Totally, yeah. There's Reddit, there's entire Reddit subreddits dedicated to it. My partner bought a couple different IKEA pieces and then created something better out of it, and he has this whole hub for his workstation and stuff. Now that's pretty awesome. So so Ahaz kind of did a similar thing here. So he really, his Wikipedia page says that he yielded readily to the glamour and prestige of the Assyrians in religion as well as in politics. And then, he saw this really gorgeous, prominent feature of the temple, and it was an altar. It was a very fancy altar, and he was like, you know what? I gotta have that. And so he made it. He made this big altar and changed the current altar that was in the temple that was made by Solomon. Was that who did it?
Seems like it,
yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly. And it was because of the king of Assyria, because he saw the king of Assyria's
it was
altar
so fashionable.
And was oh my gosh, I love it so much.
Yeah.
And so, I didn't realize this, but this says that furthermore, Ahaz fitted up an astrological observatory with accompanying sacrifices after the fashion of the ruling people. Yikes.
Oh, dear.
Yeah,
and then there
I guess that was that thing about worshiping gods and goddesses of the sky or whatever it was.
I see. Yes. So astrological. That makes sense.
That's cool. Okay. I didn't catch that. Yeah.
And I didn't catch this either, but it says in 2 Kings 16:3, there are records that Ahaz offered his son by fire to Moloch, or made his son pass through fire, a practice condemned by Leviticus.
It's throwing your baby into the fire.
Well, it also says the words may refer to a ceremony of purification or a sacrificial offering. Yikes.
I wonder that if actually I could see this being a case of the reference being vague enough about passing through fire and previous references about child sacrifice that maybe really the Molechians of the day just have some ritual about passing them over a fire or through a fire. It's part of a purification ritual, but that's still by the other cultures, they still want to scandalize it and make it sound bad. And so they talk about it like it's
I've heard that of
thing.
Certain cultures who are kind of adjusting their how do I talk about this without this being too dark or intense, but certain cultures who have a practice of altering female genitals for religious and spiritual purposes, kind of actually adjusting that practice to just be kind of a ceremonial tiny little cut or something that's superficial that doesn't actually mutilate or anything like that, but it's still considered scandalous.
Interesting.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, I wonder if the Molechians, I don't know if that's what you call them.
The Molechians.
If maybe that practice, because it's not clear that they were sacrificing sons, and it's hard to believe a king would do that, especially.
It is.
Could have just been a very Tony Robbins, just walk across these hot coals.
Maybe
there you
that's
go.
What it is. Yeah.
Make your kids do that, and then they're purified forever.
Right.
Well, so we're going to get some more summarizing of what Ahaz did all the way in Chronicles 2, the Chronicles of Narnia Return. But we're not there yet. We're not nearly there yet. It's going to happen in 2021. So I'll probably forget about this at the very least. But yeah, they said that as a result of Ahaz's wickedness, the Lord allowed Judah to be defeated by Syria and Israel. So it was really his fault why all that happened, which is really interesting. Yeah, and Ahaz, instead of turning to the Lord, he requested help from Assyria, but they afflicted him instead. And in his distress, Ahaz sacrificed to the gods of Damascus that had defeated him. And so he had this reputation of evil and disobedience to the Lord, leading to judgment upon Judah's land and people. Wow.
Boy.
Huh.
He's a
I feel like
bad,
in what
bad
we
boy.
read, he was more into the Assyrian fashion of worshiping rather than like out of being defeated. But maybe, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's, I guess...
I just wonder how much spin is being put on this after the fact, you know?
I don't know. Well, especially since after the fact... I mean, this is a Chronicles thing, but it basically says that, like, a bunch of people died and a bunch of people were taken as servants to Samaria, and the Lord allowed Judah to be defeated by Syria. So this is something that we'll get to in Chronicles, but yeah, it does sound like he was kind of the catalyst for all of this stuff happening. Even though when we read it, it was just kind of like he changed the temple and then he died and lay with his fathers. Big deal.
So, yeah, I mean, the books of 1st and 2nd Chronicles are going to be, I think, mostly the same stories, but just a little bit different retellings of them. That's my understanding of it, at least. That
See, I'm okay
it's
with
not
that
like
because...
a sequel. It's sort of like a parallel story.
Well, I'm okay with that because so much of this was not really elaborated upon at all. It was like so just slapdash, and we barely got any context to what the heck was happening. So if it's telling it again, then maybe I'll actually like understand what the heck is happening.
That's true. Maybe it'll be nice to actually have some review. Make sure we've got it all.
Yeah, we'll see, but I might appreciate that
just
a lot.
to really integrate that in there.
Yeah. So speaking of that, I did some research because I wanted to look into this whole thing about aren't his acts written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel?
I'm glad that somebody is looking at that, yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So basically the deal is that this Chronicle of the Kings of Israel is this book that gives these more detailed accounts about the reigns of these different kings. And it's referenced in the Bible, but that it's been lost. This book doesn't exist. No one has this book. It's been lost to time.
They left it at their IKEA shopping trip, and
it was in their garage when it got flooded. You know, like any number of things.
No.
What a tease this whole book has been, saying like, isn't it in there? We're like, we'll never know. It may be, it may not be, but we'll never know.
We'll never know.
Because in their time, this book existed, but unfortunately in our time, it does not.
It does not. Wow.
Now, what's interesting is that the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel is one book, but also there is the book called The Kings of Ancient Judah and the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah and the Book of the Kings of Judah and Israel, that these might have all been several different books, but all of them are lost either way. So kind of whenever we reference this, we can think about it. And this part really got me when I was looking into these references to the books of the Kings of Israel, is that they will also be referenced in Chronicles, where it will also say, and isn't it also written down in the book of the Chronicles?
Really? And we're like,
yeah,
I guess not.
It's really painfully meta.
Yeah, it really
apparently,
truly is.
Apparently in 2nd Chronicles, there's a verse that says, "And behold, the acts of Asa, first and last, lo, they are written in the book of the Kings of Judah and Israel." And another reference in 2nd Chronicles to things being written down in the book of the Kings. So this lost book we will keep referencing even as we get into Chronicles. So it is definitely not the Chronicles that we will be reading, although the books of Kings and the books of Chronicles are supposedly based on these books, which is why they keep referencing them, because they're based on them.
Great.
Another thing I learned was that these books were probably actually a lot of different writings by different scribes who worked for those kings. So it's probably like we have now, this is the Cliff Notes, like we talked about last week, right? Like these are the Cliff Notes that we're reading. And it's like, for the full story, read the chronicles written down by the scribes of these kings that are probably very long and boring. So actually, it's probably for the best that we're not
That we
reading
don't
those.
read them.
That those are probably the day-to-day, and on this day he accepted a gift of 200 horses, and on this next day he did this offering and sent a letter to this other king. I'm sure it's that level of, if you really want to get into it, it's the Silmarillion of the Bible. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, I only made that mistake once for reading the Silmarillion.
What is the Silmarillion?
It's another book by Tolkien that basically goes into like all the mythology and lore and the gods and everything. It very much reads like the Bible, but like the Bible for Middle Earth.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like lots of different stories, not terribly
very little
interesting.
dialogue, lots of history.
Isn't
No
that where like
through line.
Eowyn or Arwen is in there?
I'm sure she's referenced. The thing that always got me about the Silmarillion is that, like, basically he sums up the entire plot of the whole trilogy in like 2 sentences for the Lord of the Rings.
Oh my gosh.
Where it's like he tells all the history.
Hobbits,
and
throw it
then
in the fire.
The ring,
done.
like it was like thrown into a fire by a hobbit, and like that was the end of it. And
Aren't the acts of Frodo written down in the book of the Chronicles of the Ring?
of the Lord of the Rings is exactly like that.
Wow. But this other stuff that's far more important.
Oh
Right.
boy. Okay, can I talk to you about some
Yes.
gods / maybe demons? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Please.
Okay, so I'm talking about a Adramelech and a Namelech.
Oh yeah, love
These
those.
Syrian / Mesopotamian gods and goddesses. So I'm going to start with Anamelech because there's a little bit less information about her. So she's the goddess. They come as a pair,
Okay.
as I'm sure you
So
could
that was
understand.
Right. Okay.
Yes. She's a lunar deity, apparently.
Okay.
Which is,
So
I think is
she's
common
a
with
man.
goddess worship, that
Right.
she's associated with the moon, and the menstrual cycle is associated with the moon and all these things. So it all just makes sense. And so her husband / partner, Adramelech, he's of course only mentioned here in this passage that we read, and he's described as a god of quote unquote Sephar Vaim, which is a word that refers to, or at least is identified with, these twin cities of Detroit and St. Paul. No, Minneapolis and St. Paul.
Minneapolis and St. Paul, not
Sorry.
Detroit.
Detroit.
Not Detroit.
Weird.
Okay, the god
no,
of the Twin Cities, Adramelech.
The god of Minneapolis and St. Paul. No, the twin cities of Sipar Yahrudum and Sipar Amnanum, which is north of Babylon.
So I was like, which is north of Minnesota. Okay,
Yes. Now, here's the interesting thing is that in the Talmud, like in the rabbinical writings, it's written that Adramelech is a god who is depicted in the shape of an ass, as in a donkey.
Okay.
But also there's other accounts that say that he is in the shape of a donkey and the shape of a peacock at the same time.
A donkey
will you
cock.
please.
A donkey cock, an ass cock.
Wait, okay,
if you
so
will.
so is it a donkey head and a peacock tail?
I'm glad you asked.
Oh boy.
Because I've drawn you a
Because the
picture.
other way is not as fun.
No, okay, so apparently, according to Wikipedia, Adramelech is considered a demon in particular Judeo-Christian traditions, which is common
Sure.
for Christians to do this, of like, we take the foreign gods and turn them into a demon.
Right.
Of course.
Yeah. So he's generally depicted with a human torso, a mule's head, a peacock tail, and the limbs of a mule or a peacock. There is a great picture on the Wikipedia, and I'm
Why
just
do you
gonna...
need a human torso? Wait, so is he like a centaur?
Well, he needs a human torso, as I'm going to share with you, and you'll see, is so that you can see that he has some like really cut pecs.
Oh
and
yeah, we gotta
arms.
have those
Oh,
abs.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I got
Like
it. I
this
got it.
really
Yeah. So he is kind of
beefy-
centaur-esque.
Yeah, kind of this beefy, sexy boy kind of upper body with a donkey head and this big, magnificent
pretty
peacock
great.
tail in the background. Yeah, so y'all who are listening, I'm going to post this into the Drunk Bible Study Fans and Fellowship Facebook group so that you can enjoy this abomination as well.
It is an abomination for
Yeah.
sure,
And-
but also amazing.
Bonus trivia,
Oh
Adramelech is the name of a summon in Final Fantasy XII.
wow, really?
Oh, really?
Yes. And again, I'll share this with you as well. He doesn't quite have the same donkey characteristics, I would say.
But does he have the
But-
peacock tail?
He has a little bit of this peacocky, feathery
Whoa.
kind of look.
Whoa.
You know,
Oh,
he looks
yeah.
very
Look
intense.
at
I mean,
that
he looks
fa-
very
he's
much like
"Rah!" That's what this
yeah, he
picture
looks very much like a Final
like.
Fantasy summon for sure, for
gosh.
those of you who are familiar with the series. But
Yeah,
love it.
absolutely.
yeah, very low on donkey, higher on peacock, a little bit of human-y torso, and some big kind of clawish hands and stuff like that. But I thought that was fun.
Oh.
Wow, that's pretty epic. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh. I did have one last bit of trivia that I guess like the
Please.
theme of recent bonus episodes is like Jace's personal history. But
Okay.
every time the Bible references the high places, in my house, we had a step stool around that I guess my little brother referred to as high places. Like that was his name for the
Wait,
step stool.
What?
He called it
Hold on,
high
wait.
places.
Friends in high
High
places.
places.
That's what I kept wanting to say.
But okay, so here I'm actually
Okay, no, how did your brother get to that place of calling the step stool high places?
well, so that part I'm not
It's
sure
cute.
about. But what I do know is
Because you
that
go up to high places with
yeah,
the
you go up to high
step
places.
stool.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
But there was he made another step stool, and I don't remember if this was like something that he made with our stepdad or our grandpa in his wood shop, or if this was something he made in shop class at school. But he made a little step stool. It was basically just like two little, maybe like 1 foot by 1 foot squares of wood with a few little cut off 2x4s holding the one up above the other. And it was maybe like a foot tall, like this very small little step stool, but it helped him to get to things. And he named that High Places Junior. And
Oh my gosh, your brother's adorable.
and it had a theme song. And the theme song was
Jeez,
High
I can't handle
Places
this.
Junior was the theme song or like the jingle, I guess. Not a theme song, but the jingle
Hold on.
for this
hold
little
on.
step stool.
How old was your brother?
Oh gosh, maybe 8 or
Aw.
something, maybe
No,
10,
okay,
somewhere in
hold
that
on.
range.
Okay, we got to keep going on with this theme of talking about Jace's personal history. How old were the two of you when you came up with click, click, click a picture?
What?
So that
And
was
you need to tell the full story of it.
Okay.
that was around the same time that yeah,
When you
we
were making
had,
up jingles for everything.
yeah, I guess it was a period of a few years where everything had little jingles. But yeah, this one was a camera that for some reason we came up with this idea that it was a little like a disposable camera type thing. But when you click the button to take a picture, it goes click, click, click a picture. And then would take the picture.
What?
And I know. And our joke was that you had this camera and you'd be like, oh, that's perfect. I'm going to take a picture of it. And by the time it's finished
wait.
singing the song and does the picture, like the picture's ruined or everyone's blinking or looking
everyone's
away.
reacting and be like, wait, what?
What?
Yeah.
And then
What's
it
he
clicks the
doing?
picture.
Okay.
So, yeah,
it's
I love
ridiculous.
it.
Yeah,
But
we
I
went
love
through a
it.
period of lots of things having jingles. But High Places Junior was one of those. And
Wow.
I actually could not tell you what High Places Senior was, but I can vividly picture High Places Junior because that was around for many years and was referred to as High Places Junior in our house for many years.
Wow. I love it
I
so
love
much.
it.
That's adorable.
It's so adorable.
But every time we talk about the high places, I keep thinking about High Places Junior.
Jeez.
Gosh, you and your brother.
Yeah, y'all
what
are
gems?
adorable.
What little jewels.
Oh boy, yeah. Anyway, that's
I
what I
could
got
go
for
off
you.
on stories of like the stuff my sister and I came up with, but now I feel like we're alienating Emily even further as the only child.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't
You
have
and
any.
James had some good songs together, though.
Yeah, no, we had a lot of good stuff, but it tended to not like be Bible related.
Yeah,
per
for our
se.
listeners, that's
High Places
James is
Junior
Emily's
was
best
also
friend.
not Bible related.
Well, it was because we talked about the high places in this, and that's how it like
Right,
came to be.
okay, I see.
Yes. Yeah, so I don't know. But I'll definitely say something if it comes up and if it's in context.
Okay, perfect.
Beautiful.
All right.
Alrighty. Well, that was a blast. Thank you for regaling us with your beautiful, fun times, fun tales of old. So we don't have a episode next week, but we will see you all in 2 weeks, and we are looking so forward to it.